Hey everybody, I'm Zach.
And I'm Jesse.
You're watching Now Let's Review, and we're going to be reviewing the Varun C26-2 e-bike next. All right, so this is a European-only bike. You can only get this in the EU, and we're not in the EU.
Exactly. So we had our friend test it out for us. He gave us all of his notes, and we watched through all of his review. So while I haven't personally sat on this bike, I have tested a lot of bikes like it, and we heard a lot about it from our friend who tested it out for us.
Yeah, I mean, we know all these features, and so it's important to understand that after we've done dozens and dozens of these bikes, we are really pretty much experts at telling you whether you're going to get what you want. And here's the key. You need to ask yourself what it is you're looking for in an e-bike. So let's just jump right into it. First of all, starting with the price. It is priced at $737, which as the time of this recording is about 700 euros. And this ships all over EU countries for free. You just have to use a code at the top of their website to get the free shipping.
So this is a 250 watt rear hub motor e-bike. It does not have torque sensing. It is a cadence sensing e-bike.
Right. That means when you start to pedal, it kind of turns it on after about 1 or 2 revolutions of the pedal, and then you get this power. And I just want to say this is where a lot of people have a problem with cadence sensing. You are at a red light, let's say, or at a stop sign or something, and you want to go. And so you start pedaling and your power gets you moving, but you don't get any motor power for about 1 or 2 seconds.
And then the motor kicks in, and some people who are not really expecting the power, who have never ridden an e-bike before, are going to get a little scared. Because this power is going to kind of come out of nowhere and start propelling them forward. It sort of feels like somebody's pushing the bike from behind. And so this can scare some people because it doesn't necessarily feel like you are pedaling. It feels almost like you're on a tandem bike and somebody else started pedaling.
Right. So it takes a little getting used to. I think once you do get used to it, then it's a whole lot better. And what's cool about this bike is it comes with a throttle, but in the EU that's not allowed unless you want to register the bike, insure the bike, and get a moped license.
Sir, did you fill out the 1170?
I filled this out.
That's the 1190.
We're not going to tell you what to do, whether to install the throttle or not. I like throttles in the US because then when I am at a stop sign and I want to go, I can give it a little juice and get me going. But in the EU, I guess someone decided that was not a good idea.
So we do have to keep in mind that while in the US this would be a pretty lame e-bike, in the EU this is meeting right up to the limits of the regulation if you're looking for a cadence e-bike.
Exactly. The regulation says it can't have more than 250 watts of power, and that's what it has.
Does it come in black?
It comes in both black and white, and it says that it can go up a 30-degree grade. I don't think in my testing of other bikes with this kind of power that you would have an easy time going up a 30-degree grade unless you were also putting in a lot of power yourself, so just be ready for that.
And this bike does have a Shimano shifter, and so you could shift down to a low gear and pedal yourself up that hill. The rear hub motor is going to give you the 250 watts, but especially at lower speeds, you're not going to be getting quite that much power, and so it's going to make hills a little bit harder.
Just to give you some idea on bikes that give you your wattage usage, when I'm going up a hill that steep, I'm usually using around 385 watts of power from the motor if I'm not putting any energy in myself. So you kind of subtract out the 250 and then you'd have to be putting in about 150 watts of power yourself, it's a lot of power.
Now, the battery is a 48-volt, 7.8 amp-hour battery that's going to get you about 400 watt-hours. This is on the smaller end of e-bike battery sizes, but with a smaller motor, it's going to be using a little bit less power, and so you kind of can get away with the smaller, cheaper battery, and that makes the whole bike cheaper, which is nice.
The battery is one of those that you see, and so everyone's going to know you're on an e-bike, and if that matters to you, just think about it, because, there are designs today where they hide it so well that you can't really even tell, but it's right there under the seat, and so you can slip it out and bring it home to charge it. It charges in about 4 to 5 hours according to the manufacturer, and so just keep that in mind when you're planning your day. The manufacturer says that you can expect 40 to 80 kilometers or 25 to 50 miles of range. That's probably a little rosy, but again, it depends on the conditions you're riding in and how much power you are putting in yourself. There are 3 levels of pedal assist, and so again, if you're in the highest level of pedal assist, you're going to get less range.
Now, the way that the pedal assist is going to work is on level 1, it's going to get you up to about 7 miles an hour, and it won't really give you any power past that. And so think of it less as a level of pedal assist and more of a cruise control.
Good way to think about it.
Then if you go up to level 2, that's going to get you up to about 10 miles an hour. And then level 3 is going to get you up to that 15 miles an hour, which is 25 kilometers an hour. Now, the reason that you have these 3 different levels is because the cadence sensing is not smart enough to slow you down. If you are pedaling, it will get you up to whatever speed you have set. If you are pedaling slower, it will continue to try to get you up to that speed that you have set. So there is not a lot of adjustability in your speed when you're using pedal assist, and that can be the annoying part, and that can be why some people want to switch over to having a thumb throttle, because that throttle is going to allow a lot more fine-grain speed control versus the pedal assist, which is not going to be as fine-tuned.
I've often wished that these bikes would allow you to kind of fine tune your curves, but you don't get that. What you do get, though, is walking assist. So if you're just walking your bike along with a friend and you're maybe going up a little bit of a hill or an incline, you can turn on walk assist and it'll put a little motor power in there to help you.
You're going to have to hold on to the minus button while you do that. And so you have to keep your hands on the handlebars while you do it. And then once you let go of it, you lose the motor power. So it definitely can be useful when you're trying to walk up a hill.
On the LCD display, which is a black and white LCD, you get to see your 5 levels of battery meter, which, I guess is okay, except that usually these batteries show you 100% until they drop quickly. So it's not like a linear thing. So you're going to have to get used to your bike. I would say give it a week or two so you really get to know when you have to start getting a little concerned.
If you want a good rule of thumb for 5-segment battery displays, as soon as you lose your first bar, turn around because you're essentially at 50% battery power.
That's a good way to think about it. You also get to see your speed, your odometer, your pedal assist level, and whether or not your headlight's on. And when you turn your headlight on, you get a backlight, which is nice. Now, there's no suspension on this bike except on your seat. And so there's a seat post suspension, which I actually like a lot on bikes because it's kind of a way to inexpensively give you some suspension. And it's kind of where you need it, right? Right where your butt is. So it's got a nice big cushy seat with the seat post suspension, and it's got some springs as well. So that's a nice feature.
The handlebars are also adjustable, meaning that you can raise and lower them. And that means that this bike, according to the manufacturer, can fit someone from 155 to 195 centimeters, which is roughly 5 feet to 6'2". So quite a big spread in terms of height there. I think the adjustable handlebars are going to have a big thing to do with it. I don't know if you're 6'2", if you will be comfortable on this bike.
The weight of the bike is 30 kilograms or 66 pounds. So right in the middle of what you'd expect for an e-bike. It could be lighter if they were using carbon fiber and stuff, but it's going to be a little hefty getting it onto a bike rack is my only concern for some people, or getting it up and down stairs.
And so if you are thinking about getting a bike rack for this e-bike, look for one that has a ramp. It's going to make any e-bike loading and unloading a whole lot easier, especially for people who may not be able to just lift a 66-pound bike. And you may be saying, well, I go to the gym and I can lift 66 pounds. Sure, as a weight that may be close to your body, but as a big, bulky, cumbersome e-bike, it's a lot harder to lift because you can't hold it as close to your body or as comfortably. One of the things that I like about this bike is that it's a step-through design. I personally think that all e-bikes should be step-throughs. There are a few advantages of having non-step-through bikes, but I think that we've entered an age with material science and manufacturing techniques that a step-through design is almost always going to be better for the rider. And, I know that that's typically a ladies' bike type of thing, but specifically for men riding bikes, step-through design is great for when you slide off the seat forward. You're not going to smash anything valuable on that crossbar.
And if you're wondering how you're going to put it on a bike rack, because so many of them do use that crossbar to hold them up, you can get crossbar extensions that go onto bikes if you need it. But most of those weren't designed to hold this much weight. Most e-bike bike racks are designed to hold from the wheels. So just keep that in mind. If you've got like an old bike rack you were thinking to use, check its weight limit. I also like the price on this bike if we're talking pros right now. The EU has to add in their VAT, so that's included in this price. And so you're tacking on another, well, depending on the country, like 22% or whatever. So for 700 euros or whatever, you're getting a lot of bike for that price, especially the fact that the throttle is included, and that's going to be up to you in your jurisdiction of whether you want to use it or not. But I do think it's a nice thing that it comes in the box.
The biggest con that I have with this e-bike is that it is not torque sensing. I think that many people will be disappointed to find that cadence sensing is not to their liking. Now, that con comes with a caveat, which is that if you do want torque sensing, you're going to have to buy a noticeably more expensive e-bike. And so if you want a cheap e-bike that is nerfed just for European standards, this pretty much fits the bill. You can't get a much more powerful e-bike without having to go through a ton of rigmarole if you live in Europe, including getting the bike registered, getting it insured, getting yourself a moped license. In many jurisdictions, you have to get special license plate lighting, taillights, and in some cases, even turn signals. So it's usually a big pain to have to cross that threshold into moped land, which is too bad because in the United States, we can have as powerful e-bikes as we want practically, and nobody cares. But this bike goes right up to the line of European standards. And I think that for that, and for the price, this is a pretty decent deal.
So thank you so much for watching, everybody. Let us know down in the comments what you think, what you'd like us to be reviewing, because we don't just do e-bikes. We do all sorts of really cool things here on Now Let's Review. And don't forget, hit that subscribe button so that we can bring you more reviews without you missing them.
We'll see you guys next time on Now Let's Review.